You are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Thursday, November 3rd, and we have another episode of The Issue now into the month of November. Kind of crazy to think about.
NFL's already through, 8 weeks?
Yeah.
8 weeks of NFL have come and gone.
So we are just about halfway through the season now. So the episode will have a little bit shorter of a review this week of Week 8. And we're going to rank our top 10 NFL teams, do the power rankings now that we are yet another quarter of the way through.
It feels good. So I feel like when the Nationals, right, when they won the World Series and they were awful in the first half and then picked it up in the second half, that's us. All right, we 4-1 on bets.
Hey, we're coming back.
It feels good. I had a great week, picking as well.
Yeah.
Tough week for you, but hey, it's okay. It's all right. We'll get to that later. But
it is what it is. But we're gonna start the show like normal.
Yeah.
We'll have a rant from Tim on Christian McCaffrey. Kind of go and having a really good breakout game for the 49ers. It's starting to look good for him there.
Threw for one, ran for one, caught one.
Yeah, don't usually see that.
That's Christian McCaffrey.
But then we'll finish out the first segment with hits and misses like normal. Like I said, in the second segment, we are going to have the Week 8 review, kind of the big games, big stories, and then we will get into our top 10 NFL teams. And then to close out the episode, in the third segment, we'll have our Week 9 predictions and Week 9 bets on a budget. Finally back on track.
Off a winning week. It feels good, yeah.
Just wanted to say also, we are starting the Issue newsletter. We kind of started it, a year ago probably. Never really got going, but this time we have kind of a better format and more news to send out to you guys now with the video and every advancement that we've made here over the past year. So we're more in a position to do that now.
There's more of you listening too. So.
Yeah, we have a way bigger audience than we had a year ago.
Feels fantastic. Thank you guys.
Yeah, so go ahead, put your email in on our website. So go to theissuesports.com. Once you get there, you'll see the little sign-up link. Just throw the email in there, click sign up, and every week on Tuesday, you will get kind of early access into the episode, what that's going to be in the week coming up, all the big stories from the previous week of football, some things looking forward. So definitely going to be worthwhile. Go ahead and do that.
So, we talked about Christian McCaffrey throwing for one, ran for one, caught one. Of course, he's jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife, right? We get that. And so I think safe to say he's officially arrived in San Francisco. It didn't take long. Did not take very long. So when the trade happened, I said, oh yeah, they're certainly a hell of a lot better of a team now than they were without him. I don't think that's really an argument. Right now, today, are they a better team with him? Of course. I didn't love giving up a bunch of picks, especially because he is a little bit injury prone. But at the end of the day, this is a win now team. And the worst thing you can do is kind of be stuck in the middle, right? For example, I think Green Bay is stuck in the middle. You're gonna pay Aaron because he's the best quarterback for right now. Mortgage some future for right now for Aaron. But then you're gonna let go. You're gonna let Devontae Adams walk, Zadarius Smith walk. You're gonna draft like a developmental linebacker. Things like that. You're not gonna draft a wide receiver first round in the last ever. Like those are mixed signals. At least San Fran, they're all on the same page. Hey, we're gonna go out. We're gonna get the best players. We're gonna go win right now. And the only other concern was that now the top 4 guys in their offense are injury prone, right? Debo, Jimmy G, George Kittle, and now McCaffrey. But that's not the point. I was not worried about his effectiveness on the field, right? I expected it to take a second. I mean, geez, the guy got off the plane and played like a day later against the Chiefs. Of course he was rusty. Of course they didn't look very good. But they're fine. I think that when healthy, that's probably the best team in football. When healthy, I get that they've been injury prone, and that's something to think about, right? I think the saying is like 50% of ability is availability or something like that, or maybe even more than 50. But the point is, when healthy, they're fantastic. And my main takeaway, watching this all happen, was that super teams in the moment, it's very easy to be like, that's a super team, right? That's a team that's almost unfair. But in reality, there's very few unfair super teams. I mean, look, even I know it's a different sport, but look at Golden State. Steph was undersized guard that they drafted, didn't become a star till like year 5. Klay Thompson went to Washington State, and Draymond's been the basketball version of a goon since he was 11. It's easy in hindsight to be like, oh, that's not even fair. That's a super team. How come they get all the good players? You mean how they correctly scout and develop their top 3 players? And then add Kevin Durant, right? Like, you are allowed to go get a free agent. Yeah. It's kind of how it goes. Right, the Rams, for example. They may go out and, they spend some money, but, they also drafted Cooper Kupp after everybody in the league passed on him. They drafted Aaron Donald. They drafted Jared Goff, who, you might not love him, but he put him in a Super Bowl. And then gave him the capital, him being good enough allowed them to trade for Matt Stafford, who actually won the Super Bowl. And most of their offensive line and secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey, they're all drafted. Right, because McVay, Les Snead, the ownership, they just kind of make it work. Right? I mean, Carolina can't make anything work. So people want to bang on Christian McCaffrey. Carolina can't make anything work. Hell, I don't even like Baker Mayfield. But he's better than that. I mean, he's better than he's looked in Carolina. At the end of the day, we think Baker's a more talented quarterback than what he's seen. He shouldn't be benched for P.J. Walker in 99% of organizations. But not in Carolina, he's not better than that. This is what he is in Carolina, because it's Carolina. Right, the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs are unfair. They have all the good players. That's the super team right there. Nope, Andy Reid was kind of cast aside by Philly. I mean, they ran him out of town. Had a winning record every year, ran him out of town. Cool. And then they gutted it all out, and Alex Smith was their quarterback for a bit while they drafted a guy from Texas Tech by the name of Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, no, everybody had that on their draft board. Travis Kelce from Cincinnati, who got passed on by, once again, every other team. And Tyreek Hill, nobody wanted to touch him because he had some off-the-field stuff. Nope, that works. Well, because it's a bunch of smart people and a good organization that make it work. That's kind of how it goes. Let's not act like they were all just dealt blackjack. That's not how it works. I mean, they might be card counting, right? Like, they earned that. They earned that, just like San Francisco did with Christian McCaffrey. Like, they earned the right to go out and get him. They earned the right to play a little bit of chess while everybody else plays checkers. That's kind of how it goes. They did draft Bosa. They drafted Debo. They drafted Brandon Ayuk. They drafted Kittle. They've kind of gotten fleeced by a Jimmy G contract. So they got to, I mean, maybe not fleeced. He's got him to the Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game, but not quite what I don't think what they imagined. But at the end of the day, he's probably a discount. I mean, right now he definitely is a discount, but over the course of his thing, he's been a discount, right? They've done things the right way. So yeah, you can go out and get a Christian McCaffrey when you do things the right way, when you draft well. It's not a super team, right? It's not unfair. Everybody else had a shot at Christian McCaffrey. Everybody else could have went and traded for him. The Niners did. They have a genius coach. They have a great culture. That's how it works when you have a great culture and a good coach. That's how it works. It's that easy.
Yeah, very good, stable organization over the entire, I guess, history of the franchise, history of the NFL.
That's a good point. You think it's a coincidence that they go from Montana to Steve Young?
Yeah, I mean, they
kind of know what they're doing.
It's San Francisco, it's Green Bay, it's Pittsburgh, it's Dallas for the most part outside of recent years. I mean, it's the big brands that do the best. To
be fair with Dallas, I mean, they've only been bad for a couple seasons.
Yeah.
They might not live up to Dallas expectations, but they're never down bad.
They're never a Jacksonville.
They're not. They're not
a Houston. Their neighbor.
They're very, very rarely a Jacksonville, a Houston, a Cleveland, a Detroit.
Cleveland. Oh.
Cleveland. Yeah, we haven't thrown our digs at Cleveland yet.
You know what? Next week we need a rant on Cleveland.
All right.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what they do this week.
So my two main rants are usually either Cleveland or Dak or somebody. I had a Dak rant planned, but we'll save it. I think we'll save it.
That'll be a good one.
I'll slip it in right here for a quick 20-second preview, right? A little teaser.
Yeah.
Dak and Aaron Rodgers, they're the same quarterback coming off a loss. I don't know if Dak I don't know if they even lost last week, but my point is they're the same quarterback when they come off a game where they don't play very, very well, right? For example, Aaron Rodgers waxed in week 1, comes back in week 2, and who'd he be the Lions or the Bears or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Lions and the Bears suck, right? Same thing with Dak. Oh, Dak had 115 QBR against Chicago at home in Jerry World. I would sure hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope he did. I don't know. That's what I was going to talk about. I was going to delve into deeper, but I just think the Christian McCaffrey stuff, it's more interesting right now. I don't really care that much about Dallas. I don't, quite frankly.
They are not as big of a buzz topic as San Francisco right now, who was just an absolute
Just
buzzsaw
demolished the
in the
Rams.
NFC West. Yeah. So, I mean, did we expect any different? We both picked the 49ers, so.
We did pick the 49ers, and of course we were right, and that would be considered a hit, but not in our hits and misses. But let's get to our main 3 hits and our 3 misses per usual. Here we go. Okay, hit number 1. Looks like we absolutely nailed the bottom of the AFC West, and we heard so much for it.
Oh, my gosh.
We said that Vegas is, look, they're just not very good on the offensive line. They're not very good in the secondary, and they have a rookie head coach. It's just the reality of their situation. And I like Derek Carr, but at the end of the day, like, he's more limited than some of these stars that we see that can lead a roster like that, right?
Yeah.
Like Josh Allen on that team, they probably are first place, maybe high-end second place team.
Yeah.
But with a Derek Carr, and I like Derek Carr, he's super serviceable. He's probably around the 9th to 12th best quarterback in the league. But he's not good enough to carry this roster and a rookie head coach. Well, kind of rookie head coach. New to this team, McDaniel obviously had, that whole thing with the Broncos, but
yeah. I mean, the limitations are just too big to overcome. Like, he's more of he needs help. He's a guy that can't do it on his own. He needs a really supportive roster, front office, coaching, everything across the board.
Yeah.
Kind of needs to be the right situation, temperature for him.
I will say when it is, though, he's better than most that are, like, in that same category. Like,
yeah.
With all things lined up, I think he's better than Kirk Cousins.
I think so, but I don't even think you can compare the two this season.
Right now, definitely not.
No.
Like, bold statement. Even with all the things lined up, I think he'd be better than Dak, too.
I could see that because I don't think Dak is
I just
elite.
think I think that offensive line's really, really bad, and he's constantly having to win shootouts, so that's not going to work out.
No.
All right, miss number 1. I don't really know when it became a bad idea to bet on Tom Brady, but, I mean, damn, it's not good.
I don't think they've hit on any of our bets this season through 8 weeks,
thank
halfway
God.
through the season.
Thank God we didn't bet it. We did not bet them this past week, but I picked them to win Thursday Night Football. Kind of screwed me, but it didn't matter. But It's just like it's always been just a lock, Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just if Brady's getting points, bang it. Like, not even a question.
Yep.
Not even a question. That was one that you were like, you're looking at the opening lines, like it's like, whatever. Usually they open like Thursday or Friday the week before, and you're looking, and then you're like, oh, Patriots, easy, betting them. Or I guess in Tampa, betting them, right? Like,
Right.
so.
Either way.
But lately, it's not good.
I mean, I think we're starting to see the decline of Tom, and just at some point, time is going to catch up to you. You cannot be a quarterback and be 47, 48, 49 years old
Right.
in the NFL and compete with guys that are.
How old is he now? Like 46?
He's 45. I think he's
46?
45. Pretty sure he's 45.
That's actually, I mean, it is crazy. I don't think their problems are super fixable. Like, their center, Ryan Jensen's out for the year. Can't really fix that. Their secondary is pretty bad. There's not many teams looking to give away.
Banged up too.
Linebacking core is hurt, right? Like, so there's not a whole lot of fixable things where you're like, oh, we got a guy out with injuries, but he's supposed to come back. Like, that's not really the case. It's guys that are out for the year, or guys that they just lost in the offseason. So.
Yeah.
All right, hit number 2. I remember when all these people were like, oh my God, 330 or whatever it was for Bryce Harper. Like, that's a crazy contract. Oh no, he just made all that money back in one singular swing of the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, that NLCS swing against the Padres, he basically made that 350 or whatever it was back. I mean, realistically, and how far that they've been in the playoffs, all those tickets, all those beer sales, all the parking, every little ounce of revenue that goes into a playoff game, which we know is astronomical.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've made it this far has more than paid for that contract. Good for him and good for the Phils.
Yeah.
It's good to see. Like, I don't even like Philly, but it's electric. Like, it's good to see them. They're riding high right now. Huh?
Yeah, and it's somebody different too.
Yeah.
From the baseball realm ish. They're a little underdog.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, the Phillies don't. Yeah.
But either way, I mean, it has been cool to watch them go, and yeah, that signing. I mean, it just goes to prove when you're aggressive, when you go out and you spend the money on a proven veteran, when you go get the best player in the league, that can kind of turn your organization around a little bit at the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, we'll see. I can't see them spending 330.
No, they never will, and that's going to be the problem, though.
No, that is
because you look at
that
Philly.
is the problem, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, Philly's a little bit bigger of a market, but still, I mean, not an incredible difference. It's all the owner. All right, miss number 2. I figured Arizona would be at least serviceable. Right? Like, I think we figured somewhere around 500. And I think they're too talented to totally suck. So I think they'll end up getting close. We had them at second in the division at 9-8. But the offense is far too streaky. The defense is bad. I don't know about their coach. I feel like 9-8 at this point is a bit of an overstep.
I think so. It would be really tough to battle to get there now. I mean, you're halfway.
Especially they're 3-5. They've dug themselves a bit of a hole.
Right. You're gonna have to kind of overcome expectations, and I don't even think they're good enough to get to expectations. So this is kind of a spot where I think they might be a little stuck. But hey, I mean, save up, get some draft capital, I guess, and go try again.
Do you think? I mean, do you explore firing the coach? There's so. Now, granted,
but
here's
now
the thing.
then you're getting into coaching turbulence there, because that's going to be a recurring theme. You don't want to get a revolving door.
I agree. I do worry. It seems like there's just something about Kingsbury. He just doesn't win. He had a losing record in college.
Yeah.
At Texas Tech.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I agree. I don't think that they should fire him, especially not yet.
Well,
but it's something that at least you have to have private discussions about.
Because that team and that roster kind of has some good pieces
Far
on it.
too talented to keep losing.
Yes.
Now, granted, at Minnesota is a tough spot. I think Minnesota's coming off a bye, if I remember correctly. At Minnesota off a bye, that's a tough spot.
Right, but when you have the talent on that roster, you should at least be able to go and compete with them a little bit.
I mean, it was kind of close, but they played really, really bad.
I mean, D-Hop was the star.
See that one-hand snag?
That was really nice.
Threw up a paw.
Yeah.
All right, hit number 3. I don't want to say that we were, like, quote-unquote, on Philly early, but we did have them finishing first in the division and saying that they'd be, like, highly competitive, probably win a playoff game, right? We said in stages. They lost and got waxed by Brady last year. I think this year that they probably win a playoff game.
Yeah, and everybody else had Dallas at the top.
Everybody else had Dallas at the top. Everybody else, you're sleeping on the boys. It's going to be the boys' season. And now they're fine. They're in second, and in most divisions they would be first. But I think they're a little bit of fool's gold. They've beaten a lot of bad teams. I think Philly is legit.
Yeah.
And they're on pace to be even better, obviously. They're on pace to go undefeated than we expected them to be. I mean,
they look really good. They're scary.
The identity that they have. Like, they know you know exactly what you get from Philly every single game.
They finally have one. Sirianni's done a great job.
Like, I go into Pittsburgh games, I know having zero idea what I'm going to get.
Oh.
Like, no clue. And that's the same for about 17 to 18 other teams in the league, too.
Yeah, but those are not the teams that are going to have any sort of sustained success throughout the season.
Right, I agree.
I mean, you might have a couple pop games here and there where, we finally got a good matchup, or we finally schemed something right, but they can't do it with consistency.
Right. I would say the only good team that I see that doesn't really have a defined identity, or at least a sustainable identity, is Buffalo, but their identity is Josh Allen, and that's a damn good one to win you some games for the next year or two. So
that's pretty solid. Right. It's a good place to put your money.
All right, miss number 3. Luke once again sports the tiara.
Yeah.
I'm on fire with the picks, and it just is what it is. It's something. It's a little hot streak. This is 100% the biggest lead that we've seen in this series. I definitely know that for a fact. It feels good, but hey, as Kobe once said, job's not finished.
No.
Job finished?
I
don't think so.
Especially not for me. I haven't fallen to 2-6.
Job's not finished.
I need to do something to turn around. I'm gonna try. If I could get back to 3 games, that's not too bad. But I mean, I got to start picking it up. We're halfway through.
Job's not finished. Job's not finished.
All right,
I'm over here recreating the interview over here. Job's not finished.
Job finished.
Kobe, why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you happy? Job finished? I don't think so. Savage. That's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah. Anyway, so on the other side of the break here, we'll have kind of reviewing some of the bigger games. The Pittsburgh game, obviously, and a couple of the other ones throughout the day, along with our top 10 NFL teams. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you come back to see segment number 2. Okay, second segment here on a Thursday. What is it, the 3rd of November now?
Yeah.
All right. If you say so, November 3rd then. Another episode of The Issue here. We had hits and misses, and obviously my rant here in the first segment. Second segment we'll have some review for us here, and then top 10 quarterbacks. So
top 10 teams.
Oh, top 10
power
teams.
Rankings.
That's right. That's my bad.
That's
on me.
A nice, good, solid second segment. I love when we do the power rankings.
We should do top 10 quarterbacks next week.
Yeah, we should. We did that.
We do that a lot, definitely towards the later part of the year, especially because the later part of the year you can cut out like
Right.
18 teams that you're like, oh, they're definitely not even in the top 10. So, but quarterbacks, it's still kind of fun to talk about.
Yeah, quarterbacks, it's nice because
especially going into the playoffs too.
Yeah, because then you have more of a sample size. You can look at the season as more of a whole work of art than it is just single games.
Right. That's why we do our top 10s every 4 weeks, because people tend to make these very reactionary decisions after 1 week of football, which it is what it is. But it's the NFL, right? Things ebb and flow. Tom Brady lost to Carolina, right? I mean,
nobody expects stuff like that. It just happens.
Right. It is what it is. I mean, and DJ Moore has the game right there, decides to rip off his helmet, and then throws it into the stands. So of course they get flagged, miss the extra point, lose the game. So it's like. It's the NFL. Crazy things happen. So,
absolutely.
Every 4 weeks, you kind of find the middle ground.
Yeah. Crazy things going on every single week of the NFL. Week 8 was no different. Let's get into that. Let's review the big games, big takeaways, and storylines from Week 8.
So, to start off, let's start with the Pittsburgh game. They go to Philly, get absolutely waxed, which, by the way, I predicted the score almost exactly. I think I said the Pittsburgh scores ended between, 10 to 13 or something like that?
You said anywhere from 10 to 13 points for Pittsburgh, and you
13.
said 33 to 36 for Philly, and they ended up scoring 35. So
I almost basically, perfectly predicted it. Look, here's
a little mini
here's
hit.
the thing. So Pittsburgh went out and got the corner. William Jackson. I think they got him on Tuesday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. So that should help a little bit, but the secondary is not very good. Like, we're not very good at all. And when you're facing A.J. Brown, that's going to be a problem. But let's not act like Jalen Hurts is this wonderful thrower of the football. He gets the ball where it needs to go. But he's not like this pinpoint passer. But for some reason, he was against our corners. Now, I don't know if that's a corner issue, if he just had a good game.
I mean, look, when it's a quarterback like Jalen Hurts that carves you up, that screams defensive issues. That doesn't scream Jalen Hurts is, a top 10 passer in the league. I don't think he is.
Top 10 productive quarterback, maybe not pure passer.
Yeah, in terms of quarterback, for sure he's top 10 at this point. I mean, he's been able to get it done with the legs. He's been able to
throw good enough. He's good enough at throwing the football.
He's been consistently accurate. And not making huge mistakes. This week, though, it just looked like the Steelers didn't know how to play defense. Our corners got burnt on, I would say, like 70% of every single pass.
It wasn't very good. So, but here I will say, once you get T.J. Watt back, the time that they have to cover shrinks dramatically. So that's a bonus, and he should be back within a week or so. So I don't think long-term the defense is going to be the problem. I think they eventually kind of figure it out.
He's valuable, too, T.J.
Oh, my God, he's so valuable. But I think the offense, which this is not a hot take, that's clearly the problem. And here's what's concerning. It's when the key players aren't making the easy plays, right? I'm seeing a bunch of footage. There's a picture of Najee Harris catching the ball in the flat, looking upfield, with nobody within 6 yards of him. And the first down is 3.5 to 4 yards away. The play resulted in 0 yards. It's a picture, it's a snapshot. I'll try to find it, to throw up on the screen. It's a picture. He catches it a yard behind the line of scrimmage. The first down is 4 yards away, we'll call it. There's nobody within a couple, probably I'd say about 5 yards of him. And the play resulted in 0 net yards.
Oh, man.
Like, it's little things like that. We got to get north-south, people. We got to start having an identity, a purpose to everything. There's no purpose. There's no identity. There's no anything. There's no nothing. There's no juice. There's nothing.
It's a very just vanilla team. It feels like there's no sort of pop. There's not going to be any big play potential. It seems like, it's just they need to rebuild. They need to get pieces out of town and just acquire as much draft capital as possible, and maybe think about moving off of Kenny. We'll talk about it probably in a later episode coming up. I would assume that topic would come up in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Right, we'll give them. I've been giving them some more time, but we'll get to it. Yeah, for sure. They did go Claypool for a second round pick. I like that. Go check TikTok for the actual reaction, I guess, to it.
Yep.
All right, second game here, Minnesota, Arizona. So we kind of a little bit talked about how Arizona, we expected to be a little bit more productive, but I'm impressed with Minnesota. Right, so you have these 3 really nice playmakers: Thielen, Jefferson, Cook. And you still have a backup running back who's scoring touchdowns, Alexander Madison, and you go out and get T.J. Hawkinson. This is a big coaching tip of the hat to Kevin O'Connell.
Yes.
I mean, I really think the whole franchise has pivoted to understand the sensibility of the direction of the game. They might not love their quarterback, but they're certainly supporting him.
Yep.
They're giving him every opportunity to succeed. And Kirk Cousins, 90% of the time, is going to keep you in the game enough to win the game. Might need some help, but he's going to keep you in there and give you a chance to win.
Right. And you said you liked Kevin O'Connell off a bye, too.
100%, because he's a good coach. So far, we think he's a good coach.
Yep.
Good coaches off a bye. So I think the whole game came down to, I think Cliff Kingsbury got out-coached by a rookie head coach.
It looked that way. And, I mean, those signings, like you said, tip of the cap to them. Because
and they get T.J. Hawkins.
You go out and you get T.J. Hawkins.
Zadarius Smith.
Yeah. The Hawkinson one is huge because now you have a big, reliable target for Kirk. That's going to be able to help him out even more when he needs bailed out. So I really like the direction, and that's a team that has an identity, a team that has a purpose and a set direction that they want to move in.
Absolutely they do.
So,
Absolutely they do.
It's no surprise that they're starting to find their success now.
Would it shock you if they took a quarterback in the late part of the first round this coming draft? Because we know it's a deep quarterback class, so you might be able to find somebody that's serviceable. Say they're picking at, I think they'll be picking, closer to like 25, 26.
Look, I think if Kevin O'Connell can get the guy that he likes, if he likes somebody, this is going to be his first chance to kind of take a rookie quarterback and build him in a system that he wants to kind of, grow up. And it wouldn't be bad to have him sit behind and learn from a Kirk Cousins.
Kirk, yeah.
Somebody who's very safe, somebody who probably has a ton of football IQ and football knowledge that they can at least help out a little bit. And Kirk seems like the type of guy that wouldn't, shy away from helping out a little bit.
I don't think he's a Big Ben where he's going to be like, oh, Mason Rudolph, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. So, it wouldn't shock me, no.
Bills-Packers. So, first half, it was a tale of two halves. First half, the Bills looked super dominant like we expected. Second half, they scored 3 points. So, this has been the concern. This isn't a whole lot about the Packers. I don't care about the Packers. They're not good, and they're not interesting. They're going to run the football between the tackles because that's about all they're good at. Off script, they're not very good at all. I can't trust the receivers, so I don't care about the Packers. They're not good. They're not relevant. I don't care. The Bills, though, are. They're a Super Bowl contender, and there's a glaring issue. They can't put games away. They don't have the running game to sustain against a good team that's going to be able to at least limit Josh Allen on the outside.
They really struggle in the second half. And when you're trying to, just run the clock out and just kind of get out of a game, run the ball, get first downs. Can't do it. Can't move it.
And here's the thing: if they were wildly efficient on their short passing game, it would be okay. But they're not. They're more of a home run team, intermediate to deep routes. Every now and then they can break off, or they can hit those short little routes. But
doesn't happen.
They're nowhere near like Pittsburgh and Ben's last year, where everything was in 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, and that might have been a good team. But they were really good at that. That was an extension of the run game. They were able to get the ball out quick with an 85% completion rate, almost run the clock, So they go out and get Nyheim Hines. But here's the issue. Nyheim Hines is a pass-catching back. I don't think he fits the need that they have of, hey, we need to run the football better. Just point blank, fullback, too tight, run the ball better. He's not that type of back.
No.
But then again, that's not their offense. But I don't think Hines is a pure runner that they think he is. So I don't think it makes much of a difference. I think he's going to make more of an impact in the passing game than anything.
Yeah, I think so too. At least open up some more options and kind of spread the field. Maybe force them into some more dime looks. Or I guess, dime looks.
Yeah.
Just get an extra DB on the field. Kind of spread some things out. Open up the whole... even some RPOs and
because you could put him in
even
the
a play action. Because if you can use him in a play action, get those linebackers to bite and open up something, even just... that
even a hair,
that kind of 14 to 17-ish yard range right there over the linebackers, right below the safeties. So I think that's where he fits.
All right, Browns and Bengals, that Monday Night Football game. So look, it's a standalone game. People are going to freak out. I'm not going to freak out. This is a bad matchup. The Browns have a good pass rush. The Bengals have a bad offensive line. It's improving. This week was bad, but it's overall been improving. They just lost Jamar Chase, so give them a second. I think they'll end up being fine. No, I don't think Jacoby Brissett is better than Joe Burrow in any stretch, even though he played like it. It is what it is. That's one of those standalone games. It's on the road. It's a divisional opponent. It's Halloween. The fans are out and in full force. That's just one of those tough spots, I think.
Does this kind of raise any red flags to, okay, this is what Joe Burrow is without a Jamar Chase? Because now we have that sample size of Joe Burrow's first season where he was middle of the road. He kind of did some all right things. And then once Jamar got there the next year, it was just night and day. And now we see him go out for a week and they immediately slip up. Is that something to at least consider? That maybe Joe Burrow is, a little dependent on a Jamar Chase?
Perhaps. It's relatively valid, but actually that's a perfect segue because they are somewhere down here towards 9-10 area in our top 10. So let's go ahead and start with our top 10 teams. All right, so let's start with number 10, the Seahawks. Here's the thing, they're 5-3. Geno Smith got the fourth highest pass rating.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker's emerged as a legit top 10 back. They hit 2 home runs at tackle in the draft. They have a decent pass rusher. They got a good corner in the draft as well. They have a lot of young talent. And historically, Pete Carroll, look, he's a college guy. I think Pete is best as a college head coach. And so he feeds off that young energy, and they feed off him. And so with a young roster like this plays perfectly into Pete Carroll's coaching strengths.
Yeah.
I love Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator there. Clever offense. I think he deserves a lot of credit for the reason Geno Smith is not only serviceable, but fantastic.
Yeah, he's actually getting the job done and exceeding expectations, which I don't think
Fourth
anybody
best
expected.
pass rating in the league. Of course he is, yeah.
Nobody expected that from Geno Smith. We wrote the Seahawks off.
We had him at
what?
Season? 3-14 or
I think
4
so.
and 13, something like that.
I think we had them as one of the least winning teams in the league. They have proven us dead wrong, and we got Seahawks at 10.
That's good. It's a good roster. All right, number 9. Let's go with the Bengals. I think, again, a lot of people are going to overreact because what happened on Monday is a bad matchup. Myles Garrett's been playing really, really well, and conversely, the tackles haven't been. But I think, give it time. The Bengals started a little bit slow last year. This is around the time they started to pick it up. I still love their weapons. I still love their quarterback. I think in spurts they can still run the football, and the defense is very, very underrated. Now, granted, they had some injuries in the secondary and at linebacker last night. They'll get those guys back. Prior to last night's game, they hadn't let up a single second-half touchdown. So that's a legit defense that nobody really talks about. That's a top 10 to 15 defense, and that's a good enough defense when you have Joe Burrow on the other side. I still love their weapons. They'll get Chase back. They'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
I think they will be. I just want to see how Joe Burrow responds after a game like that.
I do too.
We really need to see what comes of it, if he can get it done without a Jamar Chase, and what that's going to look like going forward. I think once he is coming back, right?
Jamar Chase will be back. Yeah.
Okay. Then that will be good. I'm just interested to see what the difference looks like.
And I mean, just look at their schedule, right? So they get the Panthers, the Panthers, the Steelers.
Okay.
And then they have their bye. And then Tennessee, that's going to be a tough one, but I think they're a better team. The Chiefs, that's a tough game. But then they have the Browns. The Bucks aren't a good team anymore. They have the Patriots. That's a winnable game. So, they have some wins on the schedule, right? I mean, granted, you'll have the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens.
I think the Steelers
are
going to be a little rough for them, too, because that's when T.J. Watt will be back. He'll be back there and just crushing that offensive line.
Could. But overall, I do like the direction. I like Joe Burrow. The defense is underrated. I think it was a blip on Monday. More than that would be, I guess, the regular.
Yeah.
All right, let's go number 8, the Dolphins. I don't love them off script because I think Tua is kind of limited, but they can run the football because it's a Mike McDaniel system, which is from Kyle Shanahan, which is power run based. Bring the linebackers up. They still have the speed threats to keep the safeties deep. The middle of the field's open. Tua is plenty good enough to hit the middle of the field. They go out and get an edge rusher, Bradley Chubb, at the trade deadline. It was either Monday or Tuesday. That's a fantastic trade.
Yeah.
They give up a first, but I'm not super worried about that.
Well, you got to bolster that front. I mean, you got to go get the passer.
Right, absolutely. And he is I'd give him a top 7 to 8 pass rusher in the league.
Yeah.
So good for the Dolphins. And like I said, clever offensively. Don't love them off script, but they're certainly a very, very good offense. When you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who are 2 of the top 5 receivers right now in the game, you're gonna show up on this list.
Yeah, I really like the Dolphins at 8.
Number 7, it pains me, but you have to go Cowboys because you kind of got to respect what they've been able to do defensively and also with their run game. Tony Pollard's a legit number 1 back.
Yeah.
Zeke should. Now, they won't list him as the 2 back, but he should be the 2 back. Pollard's a legit number 1. I don't like Dak, but he's serviceable enough to lead this team to victory. I've always said, I don't hate Dak. I just think people say that he's closer to 5 than he is 12, and I think he's closer to 13 than he is 5. He's somewhere around the 10th to 13th best quarterback. That's always been my argument. But he's plenty good enough to go win games when there's defined reads with a good defense.
And nobody's arguing that point.
Right, and so that's my point is when they have a really good defense, a solid running game, and Dak can steer the ship, that's a good football team.
Yep.
It's when they ask him to do too much where it gets a little bit dicey.
When they become Dak reliant, things go out the window quickly.
Yeah. All right, number 6, we'll go with the Ravens. So they go out and get a linebacker. I think that'll help the defense a little bit. Lamar's still super dynamic, wins almost 80% of his games. They can still run the football. Mark Andrews is finally getting healthy. So that's a good team. Now they lose, I think, Rashad Bateman, but I'm not super worried about that. They're not a wide receiver dependent team anyway. Yeah. Lamar's good. The defense is certainly serviceable. They can run the football. Andrews is getting healthy. They'll be fine. Number 5, we'll go with the Vikings. The amount of weapons that they have on offense is kind of ridiculous, and then they add T.J. Hawkinson. The fact that they have 2 backs that could both start on any roster, anywhere across the league, and Alexander Mattison and, of course, Dalvin Cook, is impressive. So they can run the football, and what that's going to do is allow you to have defined reads for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And when you have defined reads plus the guys on the outside that they do, right? So what they're going to do with the run game, they're going to bring the safeties down into the box. Everyone else is going to get a little bit tighter. You're going to leave the man-to-man on the outside, play action fake, defined reads, man-to-man, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. That's a bag. I mean, that's too easy a lot of the times for Kirk Cousins, and he's serviceable enough to get the ball to him.
Not only with the defined reads, but when you can have a running game like that and just control the time of possession of the game and just possession your way to victories, especially when you have to go up and you're going to see like really good high-caliber teams out of the NFC like a Philadelphia. Or, I mean, Tom's not playing his best, or like a Tampa Bay. But either way, you're going to have to find a way to win the time of possession and just do all the little things right so that you can win that game.
I agree. All right, number 4 here. Let's go with the 49ers. That win was resounding, and I think that is more indicative of how they're going to play going forward than the Chiefs game was.
Yep.
I think now that McCaffrey's kind of folded into the program a little bit more now, they're getting healthy on the offensive line. They're getting healthy in the secondary, which is certainly needed. And again, I feel like I've said this a bunch, but Jimmy G's plenty good enough to get the ball out to the weapons when you have all that help. When you have Debo, C-Mac, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. I mean, that's a Pro Bowl roster on offense. Yeah. Oh, and you add on the other side like Bosa, Ward, Warner. I mean, the new safety, I don't even want to butcher it. Guy that looks like Troy Polamalu, trains with Troy Polamalu from USC. Literally, Troy Polamalu's like reincarnated self. Hufunga is his last name. There it is. That's a good defense. It's a good offense. Well coached. Good GM. I love the organization. They're certainly moving in the right direction. I think 4 feels right to me.
Absolutely, and this kind of points to how bad Carolina is in their offensive line. I mean, you have C-Mac who comes in there and pops in the second week now, and you haven't seen him have a game like that in how many years in Carolina? I just think it speaks to that instability.
Right. Number 3, let's go with the Buffalo Bills. Now, the reason that they're not a little bit higher, granted they're the number 1 team in the AFC record-wise, but this isn't standings. This is like rankings, power rankings, right? I worry about their inability to run the football. I think that's a real thing.
It's a real problem.
That's a real problem. And I know that like some other teams on this list, like the Bengals haven't been running it particularly well. The Dolphins at times can get a little bit pass reliant. The Chiefs don't run the football fantastic, but they're all committed to the run. They're all going to give you 20 to 25 runs a night. Buffalo will literally walk out of the field with 9 carries. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you can't abandon the run. Josh Allen can't do it all himself, and you saw the issues and the drawbacks of that in the second half of games, and you saw it in that second half of the Sunday night game against Green Bay. Well, you can't do it.
I start to get worried about injuries too that could pop up because
especially for Josh Allen.
If you're overusing Josh Allen like that, that's not something you want to just use carelessly. You pick your battles when Josh Allen has to run the football.
I agree.
You don't want to leave him out there by himself.
I agree. Now they do get Nyheim Hines, but again, I don't think that's going to be a huge factor. All right, we'll go with number 2 here, the Eagles. So people, why aren't they 1? They're undefeated. Honestly, and I'll spoil it, the Chiefs are 1 because if you didn't think so by now, I mean, they're definitely not 11, so they're going to be 1 here. So it's kind of easier to compare the 2 here. I think right now, this comes down to, on a neutral field, who would win this football game. I think Kansas City wins that football game.
I think so.
I think Mahomes is significantly more dynamic. I love the weapons in Philly, but I still, with Mahomes there, I like the Chiefs' weapons better. I think Juju has emerged as certainly probably the best number 2 target in the league. You could argue me to a low-end 1. He's been that good recently.
He has been.
He's fantastic in the slot. And what's interesting about him in the slot is he's too shifty. It's almost like a tight end on a safety type matchup. He's too shifty for a safety. Or I'm sorry, he's too shifty for like a safety or a linebacker. He's too big for a traditional like nickel corner,
right?
Like a Mike Hilton. Like those are nickel corners. He's too big for them. So he's got mismatches in the slot.
I don't want to compare him to a Deebo Samuel, but it's in this instance, it's like a Deebo Samuel where you don't know what to put on him.
Right. He's not quite as fast, not quite as physical, but the mismatch aspect of it. And the way Andy Reid uses him is fantastic. It's very similar to Cooper Kupp and with McVay. Hide him in the slot, get him some mismatches. So I think right now the Chiefs would beat the Eagles on a neutral field. And I like the Eagles the way they're able to run the football. And I think that would cause a lot of problems for the Chiefs. And I don't feel strongly about it. They're a close 1-2. But at the end of the day, if I have a close 1-2 and I'm flipping a coin, I'm going to take Mahomes and Andy Reid or Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni.
I'm taking Mahomes and Andy Reid.
And I think Sirianni and Hurts are fine. They've been really, really good this year. But it's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
You can't argue with the resume of success that they have.
You can't.
Yeah.
So I guess let's run back through it. So we have clear the throat. All right, Seattle at 10. We'll have Cincinnati at 9. The Dolphins at 8. The Cowboys at 7. We'll have the Ravens at 6. The Vikings at 5. The 49ers at 4. The Buffalo Bills at 3. The Eagles at 2. And finally, the Kansas City Chiefs as the best team in football right now, and that rounds out our top 10 NFL teams through Week 8 in the NFL.
Yeah, crazy. That's all we have for you guys in the second segment. Make sure you stick around because in the third we are going to have all of our predictions for Week 9 of the NFL and then also close things out and finish off the show with bets on a budget. It's kind of been a staple here for 9 weeks. We're going to keep it rolling. We're back on our winning ways. Let's hope it continues, and that's how the show will finish out. Yeah, so don't leave. What's up? We are back. It is the third segment of the issue here on Thursday, November 3rd. Good segment coming up. We have all of our predictions for Week 9 of the NFL, and then we have bets on a budget to close things out. 5 bets where we are personally putting our money this week, and hopefully you guys can win some too.
We got 3 spreads, 1 money line, and an over-under.
Okay.
We got back to our winning ways last week, 4-1
on
the docket last week.
That felt really
fantastic to finally get up one. So what? I'm the same record. We're the same. I think we have 3 winning weeks now. No, 2.
3. We have 3.
So we're 3-5. Hey, we're almost back to. We're getting closer to 500, and we're just gonna keep stacking. So let's see how it goes.
No, yeah, it'll be all right. We'll find our way back. But guys, like we said in the intro in the first segment, make sure you're going to theissuesports.com. Check out everything that we have over there. So that's how you'll be able to find the TikTok, the Instagram, Twitter. It'll have featured videos. Our products will be up there pretty soon. Just a whole lot going on. Also, the newsletter, go subscribe to that. That's on the website. So just scroll down, find it. It's right there on the homepage. And you can just toss the email in, click sign up. Super simple and super easy. And just get all the news from the show every single week. But without further ado, we got some games to predict. Week 9 should be pretty good. So let's get into it and talk about it a little bit.
All right, so we're going to start here with the Eagles at the Texans on Thursday Night Football. We're both going to go ahead and take the Eagles here. Yeah. They're a significantly better team. They have a better quarterback, better coach. I like their line better. I think they run the football better. I like their weapon. I mean, pretty much every facet of the game, they're better. I don't think there's a whole lot to be said for a Texans pick here. I mean, they're at home, so that gives them a slight chance.
No.
And here's what's interesting. Home field in the NFL is close, in Vegas, about 4 to 4.5 points. And so they're at home, and Philly's still favored by 14, which means Vegas thinks that Philly's almost 3 touchdowns better on a neutral field than this.
Right, because if you take that to Philly, then you give Philly probably an extra 4. So
probably give them an extra 4, even closer to 5.
Especially
so you're looking at almost a 20-point line.
Yeah.
On a neutral field or even at home. So I mean, this is pretty significant here. I think the Eagles win. I'd be dicey about throwing a lot of money on 14. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
But I think they do definitely win the football game.
I think, yeah. I don't know if they cover that 14, but they definitely, there's no chance they lose to the Texans here.
Right. let's go with the Packers and the Lions. Now, I went back and forth. I thought about the Lions for a second. But I think the Packers actually showed a little bit of fight. And I think they found their identity in the second half of that game. They have to run the football significantly better. And they have to run it more with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon between the tackles. And I think they kind of found that identity and that rhythm a little bit in the second half. I'd look for them to build off that. Because that's the best second half performance that they've had probably within the last year. I'm hoping they'll build off that and probably carry it into this Lions game as well.
I think they probably they will end up doing that. The thing with the Lions is just now they lose T.J. Hawkinson, so trading him, you're losing a really reliable target. They got a lot of targets.
And Amon-Ra St. Brown's been in and out of the lineup with injuries, so that's.
He's been questionable almost every single week, it seems.
Yeah, I think he's dealing with like a concussion, some sort of head injury right now. So
yeah, that's tough. Yeah. But no, I don't see the Lions. This is not their game where they're going to step up and beat Green Bay, who's just big brothered them for years.
Yeah. All right, Vikings at the Commanders. We're both going to go with the Vikes here. Commanders are fine, but Taylor Heineke has a ceiling, I think. At the end of the day, I will take Kirk Cousins over Taylor Heineke, and I like Heineke. He's okay. But also the weapons are fantastic. Hawkinson won't be a huge part yet, I would imagine, but he probably will be eventually. I think you'll start to see him folded in there. I'd look for him to be a red zone target because it's not a whole lot of nuance to the red zone. It's like, hey, man, find an open spot, sit down, be a big body, right? He can go up, get the 50-50 ball. So I'd look for him to be more in the red zone here.
He's got that big frame. Perfect for it.
And I have him in fantasy, so hopefully he is a red zone target. That'd be nice. But we'll both take the Vikings here pretty convincingly.
Yeah, he has been pretty good on the fantasy team, actually. He was a nice pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go with the Panthers at the Bengals. We'll take the Bengals here. In a little bit of a rebound game. Again, Panthers are the Panthers. They find a way to lose even when they have the game right there in their hands. And Joe Burrow, there's no way. I mean, good quarterbacks and good teams don't, especially after being humiliated, don't usually lose again the second week.
Especially to such a far inferior team.
Right. It'd be different if they were going like on the road to like Buffalo or something like that.
Right, and had like a tough matchup. But this one's going to be relatively easy.
At home against Carolina, it's the 1 o'clock window. That's a win.
Blowout potential.
Actually, yeah, probably. That 7.5 looks a little low. All right, Chargers at the Falcons. You like the Chargers here. I'm gonna take a massive risk and go with the Falcons.
Yeah, this is interesting.
I'm 6-2 right now, so I have 4 games to spare, and so I'm not just giving you points here, but I'm saying I can afford to take some big swings, and those are the swings that have gotten me here. So now this one might be a little bit farther out there because I'm a big Chargers fan. So normally I would not like to bet against them, but the Falcons have been fantastic at home this year. Every time I say they're going to win at home, they usually do. And they find a way to win. They run the football. And here's what's interesting about them running the football. The weakness of the Chargers is their run defense. So I think they're going to be able to exploit that a little bit. But on the flip side, the Chargers have a good passing game, and the Falcons' secondary is dicey. So I get why you'd pick. Yeah, I get why you'd pick the Chargers.
It's going to be interesting.
It's an interesting pick on my part, but we'll see how it goes.
When you said Atlanta, I was shocked. I thought you were just playing for a second, but you were not. You said that on the show. Wow.
We're going with it.
All right, Atlanta for you. Huh?
Yeah. All right, Colts at Patriots. So you're telling me that Sam Ellinger in his second start is going to go to Foxborough
and beat Bill Belichick?
Yeah, that's not happening. The Patriots are going to win and probably roll here. I'd look to bet that 5.5. All right, the Bills at the Jets. Buffalo's actually by 13 here. That's a pretty large spread.
Especially against the Jets, they've been pretty good.
Yeah, the Jets' defense has been solid, but without Breece Hall, without a steady running game, you saw Zach Wilson against Bill Belichick last week. It was ugly.
Just as predicted, though.
Just as predicted, and I'm not saying McDermott is Bill Belichick, but he's also been fairly successful against young quarterbacks. He's a defensive head coach, so I'd be lying to sit here and tell you, I think Zach Wilson and the offense will be in great shape this week. I don't believe it.
No.
I think the Bills are a much better team. I think it's a convincing victory for them.
Yeah, without the running game, it's just really tough for the Jets. That was kind of their heartbeat of the team.
Right. All right, Dolphins at the Bears. We're both going to take the Dolphins here. The Bears, I guess, you traded away Roquan Smith. You got Chase Claypool. I don't think either of those moves is enough to be like, oh, yeah, I think they win.
Chase Claypool, couldn't look good in Pittsburgh with a very much more stable culture environment. It'll be interesting to see how he does with Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields is going to turn him into any kind of great receiver. I think he's going to still struggle to make those catches and those 50-50 balls that he should have.
All right, the Raiders at the Jags. We're both going to take The Raiders. The Raiders going on the road. Something's got to give. They're too talented to keep losing, and I think this is the game. This is one of those. This is one of those early season gotta have it games. Now, granted, even if they win, I still don't think they're getting into the playoffs. But this is one of those where, like, if you want any hope, this is a you have to have it type of game. And I think in those games, Derek Carr has been very good with his back against the wall. I think that's no different here. And the Jags have a decent pass rush, but their secondary is pretty weak. So I think he should be able to, put up some points with Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I was going to say.
At least that's what I'm hoping.
I was going to say Devontae Adams is going to be able to get open. We know that. He's not going to be contested against the Jaguars secondary. So I think it's going to be kind of convincingly, too, the Raiders here.
I guess we'll see. All right, Arizona hosting Seattle. Seattle's been very good to me betting this year, so I will stick with them. Again, a risk, because I think on the road they haven't been quite as good as they are in front of the 12th man up there in Seattle.
Yeah. You,
of course, will take the home team Cardinals. Why?
Honestly, Kyler's due to pop. He's a good quarterback. I'm not sure about Cliff Kingsbury. He's a question mark, but I like Kyler enough, and I like the roster around him. I like that D-Hop's back.
D-Hop, yeah.
He's been great now for 2 weeks. It wasn't a fluke that week one. He put up a large amount of fantasy points this past week
solid.
As well, which I liked. I held on to him through the whole suspension.
Did you really?
Yeah, he was on my bench, and he's finally playing. So that feels good. I just like what Arizona kind of has going and what they have the potential to be. And I think against the Seattle team is inferior. This is a shock that they've been able to do this with Geno Smith. It has to come to an end sometime, and I think Kyler and that roster is just they're too talented.
It is a more talented roster. I'll stick with, I guess, what I hope is a Pete Carroll coach him to victory rah type of game. We'll see if it pans out. I do like Kenneth Walker though, being able to run the football, so that should help. We'll see. All right, Rams at the Bucks. We'll both take the Rams here. I can't believe the Bucks are actually favored by 3. Again, I still think Brady's getting favored in Vegas right now. I still think Brady, the whole there's no way he loses 4, and then he loses 4, and then they're like, there's no way he loses 5. That's kind of been my thinking.
Maybe
I think there's a way. There's a way that he loses 4 in a row. I think the Rams, really, really good coach, getting humiliated, coming off a humiliating loss. Good coaches and good teams are usually fantastic. Now, I don't think the Rams are good. They're not even in the top 10 that we just did, but they have a really good coach. They have a veteran quarterback. The offensive line, although with some injuries, has been improving. They have good weapons. Another week back for Van Jefferson. Allen Robinson starting to emerge. I think that's a win for the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Brady being able to rebound right now. He's on a downward slide, and the team around him isn't helping him out at all. Nobody's playing really well in Tampa, so...
Okay, let's go with the Titans at the Chiefs. Sunday Night Football. We'll both take the Chiefs.
That one's fairly simple.
Yeah, at Arrowhead, primetime, that's a no-brainer. An interesting thing, look at what the Titans had in primetime against Buffalo. It wasn't pretty, right? I think you're going to see a similar result. Let's go with the Ravens at the Saints, our third and final split here, and it's Monday Night Football. You'll take the Ravens. The Saints have been very kind to me, especially when playing at home.
This is another just swing forward game for you, huh?
I will roll with the defense that's been really, really good at home lately. The Saints defense at home is I think, top 3 in the league. They shut out the Raiders last week at home. And I think the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, makes enough plays. Or I don't even know if Jameis is back. Either way, I think they make enough plays. The defense will win the game. They will not lose it, basically. Look, let's also be real here. Andy Dalton hasn't been playing the whole season. He's got 9 touchdown passes. That's more than Russell Wilson's been playing the whole season. Let's keep it real. Andy Dalton hasn't been bad. He had those 2 pick sixes. I get that they were bad. Outside of those 2 picks, he's been 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's not bad.
Yeah, I just don't... It's Baltimore.
I agree. I think Baltimore's a significantly better team, and I think over the course of the year, what we had them at, 5 or 6. I think we had them at 6 in our top 10. I think they're a fantastic team. I think that's a tough spot going on the road to New Orleans.
All right. Well, let's see if your swing for the fence method works out for you this week.
I hope so. I really do hope so.
I mean, if not, I climb to 3 and 6, so I'll at least make something back here.
Valid.
So I don't know. I like my picks.
I like our picks. I like our bets this week. So, like I said, we have 3 spreads, 1 money line, and 1 over/under. Without further ado,
let's go.
Let's do it. We'll look to keep our winning ways going. Bets on a budget. Okay, first bet. We'll start with the 3 spreads. Let's go with LA, the Rams. Getting 3 points going to Tampa. So they're +3 at Tampa Bay. that seems to me like that's some decent value right there.
Yeah.
Again, good coach, awful loss, a bad one at that. Veteran quarterback, good weapons at almost every level. I like the Rams better than the Bucs right now. And their offensive lines, both of them are banged up, but I'll take LA. The backfields aren't super impressive for either. I'll take Stafford over Brady right now. I'll take their receivers over Tampa's.
Yeah.
Defenses are both been kind of lackluster. You could maybe lean Tampa, but I think I will personally, from a talent standpoint, especially with the Shaq Barrett now hurt for Tampa, will lean towards the Rams on that side. So I think they're the better football team going to Tampa. I think they win this game outright, but I'll take them definitely with getting 3 points.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's one where I would be between money line and spread right there.
Whatever has better odds for you.
I feel like the Rams will take both.
Right.
So.
I would imagine the money line would, but hey, whatever makes you feel better. All right, Detroit plus 3.5 versus Green Bay. So I mean, both of us picked Green Bay, but also look for the money line on this one. I think they're like plus 160 something. So that's a really good value at plus 160. Right. I think 2. But Detroit getting 3.5 at home, so you get the hook on there, right? So if Green Bay wins by a field goal, you're still solid. But Detroit getting 3 points at home versus a Green Bay team who, I think Green Bay's better. I think they run the football better. I think obviously their quarterback's better. They're a better overall team, but it's not like they're burners on the outside that can put you away. It's not like it's not like they're Buffalo where, they kind of lull you to sleep a little bit, and the next thing you know, you look up and you're down by 4 touchdowns, right? I think Detroit can keep it close. Green Bay's a running football team.
Yeah. They haven't been able to do much in the passing attack. Now, I don't exactly like the Lions secondary to hold them to, too little. But, I mean, we haven't really seen it from Aaron this year.
We haven't.
So, to keep it close, I like the Lions. Definitely not, I don't like them winning. I personally wouldn't put my money on Lions money line here. I just think it's too risky. But I would definitely have them covering that spread.
All right, let's go with Atlanta plus 3.5 at LA. I guess this is more my bet than your bet. You probably won't be putting any scratch on this one. But, again, similar to Detroit, they're also going to have good value on the money line. But I think getting 3 points at home is a very good proposition. So scoring's down in the NFL, which means points are harder to come by. Points are harder to come by, which means points are more valuable, right? And especially at home getting points, that's a lot of value. At home getting points in the NFL right now because scoring's down. So I think Atlanta getting points against an LA team who they can't really stop the run. They've had cluster injuries on their offensive line and their wide receiving group. I like Herbert, but I don't like a whole lot else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the other side of this bet. I can see where your concerns are and where you would lean to bet this. And like I always say, I'll bet against what I pick for a prediction.
Right, absolutely.
Because things happen and there's money to be made. It's the NFL. So I do like the bet overall. Right. I do see some problems with the Chargers a little bit, and they are kind of getting to the point where they rely on Herbert too much like in Buffalo with Josh Allen.
It's one of those where you kind of throw it on the back burner, just put a couple bucks to maybe back bet a couple of your things, win some money back, so your day is not a complete loss. All right, so this one here, again, I picked New Orleans, but this is not really about who wins and who loses, right? I think plus 128 for New Orleans on the money line. The sheer value in that is where I'm going here. At home, the Saints have been fantastic, and so I think if you can get that sort of value for a home team, especially they're pretty well coached. They're a veteran team. They're not going to make a mistake that kind of shoots themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Every now and then you might get an Andy Dalton mistake, and I don't love Andy Dalton primetime. But at home, I feel a lot better about it.
Now, this is a risk I would be willing to take and willing
to
to
good
back
bet.
This
Yep.
Because this is a really good one, a really good way to make a lot of money quickly.
Right, throw 25 on that, you're in business.
Right, and that's why it is indeed bets on a budget.
Yeah, we're not throwing crazy money. We're not throwing like $150,000 on that. We're not Drake out here putting millions of dollars on a parlay.
I can't afford to put my rent on the line this month. So,
no.
So we're keeping it light. We're keeping it real light.
All right, let's go with an over-under here to finish it off. We'll go over 50.5 for Seattle at Arizona. Both defenses aren't very good. Now, Seattle's has been improving recently, especially with the pass rush. But I think with the emergence, or I guess the re-emergence of DeAndre Hopkins, I think that's an easy bag for Atlanta to get 25 plus. And I think Seattle with Geno Smith's an easy bag for 25 plus. This game is probably going to shake out to like 33-30, no matter where you're leaning. I think that's a game that's going to be over the 50.5. Both defenses are kind of underwhelming. It's I know they sometimes close it. Either way, it's Atlanta. The weather's not going to be a factor.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to chuck it around the yard. I think over 50.5 is the play there.
All right. I mean, you're just trying to throw in little predictions for scores wherever you can now, I think.
Hey, that was pretty sweet.
You're going after the Tony Romo effect now, where you can just look at a game and be like, yep, this is going to be a
I don't know who's
44-18
winning.
game.
I don't know who's winning, but I'm going 33-30.
33-30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Romo didn't predict that game, that 28-24 Bills-Chiefs game he just said. Feels like a 28-24 game to me. So, feels like a 33-30 game to me. Who knows? Either way, it's a coin flip. Feels like 33-30
We'll keep our eye on that one.
All right. Well, I think that's it. So we'll run back through the bets one more time real quick for you guys. We'll go LA +3, Detroit +3.5, Atlanta +3.5, New Orleans +128 on the money line, and over 50.5 in Seattle at Arizona. Those are our 5 bets on a budget coming off a 4-1 winning week.
Yeah. It feels good that we're back on at least coming off of a winning week again. It was getting pretty dreary there for a couple weeks, and it was just loss
to the point
after
where
loss.
I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, so back on the right track. Hopefully we're going to stay there. But that's all we have for you guys this week, guys. So, thanks for hanging out. Go to theissuesports.com. Check out everything we have there. The Instagram, the issue podcast, or the issue_podcast on Instagram. All those links can be found in the link tree, which is in the description of the episode, along with, everything else that you could possibly need for the show. But guys, like I said, thanks for hanging out. Make sure you come back next week, where we will be reviewing week 9 and predicting for week 10 of the NFL. Guys, thanks so much. And that was The Issue.